Hi, welcome to the Roundtable Friends. I'm Dave Flores. We're back. I'll be back. I told you I would be, and I am. Yes, we love the North County of San Diego, and that's what we're all about. And we also discuss other issues and news. And we just love to roam up and down the Highway 78 and see what kind of trouble we can get into, all that stuff. But tonight, we have some very special guests with us. We have, first of all, from the Convention of States, and we're going to find out what is the Convention of States, right? We have a movement update on the Convention of States. And then, after that, we'll go to commercial break. We'll come back with Woodaman. Now, I coined this phrase, Woody. Don't get mad at me. Woody Woodaman, a man for all seasons and reasons. You like that? Okay. He said it was okay. I took a little bit of artistic liberty there. Okay, well, at any rate, I'd like to introduce our guests right here. We're going to get right into this. First of all, we have the National Vice President of the Convention of States, and his name is Mike Ruthenberg.
That's correct.
I want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Glad to have the opportunity to be here.
Glad you're here. Thank you so much. He's going to talk about the national scene and explain the Convention of States in a way that we can all understand what it is. Then, on my right here, we have the California State Leader, who is Fred Yerrick. Fred?
Hi, Mike.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I love that shirt.
We do too.
We'll have to get one of those.
That's so I don't forget my
Did you bring any swag?
A little bit.
I wear an XL.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. I got to get these guys. At any rate, so what we're going to do is we're going to get right into this. First of all, we have a video we want to show, and we'll all get to see it here. It's 2 minutes, and it's going to give us sort of an outline here of what we're talking about. Let's go for it.
Article 5 of the United States Constitution gives we the people the power to put the federal government back in its constitutional box and expand liberty for all. Once 2/3 of the states pass similar applications, a convention of states will be called, and there is nothing the federal government can do to stop it. This isn't a red movement or a blue movement. It's an American movement based on one fundamental question: who decides? Who should decide the issues that affect your community? Washington, D.C., or you? The Convention of States Action Resolution applies for an Article 5 convention that would propose constitutional reforms limited to 3 topics. First, fiscal restraints on the federal government. With over $140 trillion in unfunded liabilities, we need a balanced budget. But our resolution also allows for caps on federal spending and taxation. The second topic is limiting the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. The Supreme Court has authorized the feds to have control over almost every aspect of our lives. The COS Action Resolution empowers us to restore the Constitution to its original intent and return power to the states and the people. Finally, term limits. Thanks to a corrupt ruling class in Washington, trust in the federal government is at an all-time low. That's why our resolution gives Convention of States commissioners the power to send the career politicians packing, including the judiciary and other federal officials. So what can you do? First of all, sign the petition at cosaction.com and get as many of your friends and family to do the same. With your full address, your state legislators will know that you really are their constituents in their district. Call, email, or request a meeting with your state legislators to ask them to co-sponsor the COS resolution in their state. Get plugged in with your local Convention of States team so you can stay engaged, educate others, and respond to national calls to action. Our success depends on you, so we're inviting you to be part of history. Let's invoke the constitutional solution that's as big as the problem.
There it is. Okay. Now, I just wanted to elaborate just briefly here that it takes 34 states to call the convention, and it takes 38 states to ratify. Is that right, Mike?
That is correct.
Okay. So where do we stand now you're the National Vice President. Obviously, this is a collection of states that have to come into this. So what is the strategy, and what would you like to share with us?
Well, there's the problem, There's the solution and there's the strategy. The problem is a runaway federal government. And we have a government that is addicted to spending. And a lot of people, you opened with this, say that it's not a question of the left versus the right, although the media and the incumbents in office in the federal government would like us to continue to fight among ourselves so they can run amok and spend money. And if you look at what's been happening over time, I have a little graph here, you can see this is what's happening with our deficit. It is going absolutely crazy. And this has a little bit more detail, but basically what it says is it doesn't matter who controls the Congress, it doesn't matter who controls the White House, they're all addicted to spending. So our founders foreshadowed this. They knew that this was going to happen at some point. So when they wrote the Constitution, in Article 5, they put a provision within Article 5 to allow the states to be the safety valve and to be able to check the federal government, because you could probably agree, and most people would agree, that the federal government is not going to restrain, they're not going to vote to restrain themselves. They're not going to amend the Constitution to restrain themselves. So that solution was put into the Constitution when the Constitution was first conceived. That's the problem. And of course we have the problems with not only the size of the federal government, but also the spending, and then we also have issues with terms. Our elected officials over time, used to be citizen legislators. Well, now this little graph just shows the average number of years in office, exceeding 10 years in office average of our elected officials. And so what that does is that causes problems where people are more focused on getting reelected, and that means they have to spend.
It becomes an entitlement almost of some of the senators and congressmen, where there's legacies of 20 years. I mean, some senators 50 years. I mean, those types of things. The founders, I don't think, originally envisioned that. It was sort of like, hey, we got to get back to our farms or our
That was the
businesses,
intent.
and
That's
we're
exactly
here to just let's get the union together. Let's do this, but. Like you say, it just seems like the other thing is the gerrymandering, if you will, that's a word, of the districts, where you'll look at the districts and there are all these bizarre shapes, where the idea is for one of the political parties, both of them have done this, right, where they just get them and say, okay, here's a safe district now for our guy. So, now this guy is pretty well assured he's going to get back. And it becomes like, a legacy to them, or a position of power that they don't want to give up. So it's a good point.
Yeah, that's very
but go
true.
ahead, continue. I was just elaborating there a little bit.
And then, so the other issue comes with. So anyway, those are the issues that we have. So the solution is contained within our Constitution. Most people understand our Constitution is about that big. What a lot of people don't understand is that every year our federal government, the courts, the Supreme Court interpret this Constitution. And it's been largely adjusted. And most people have never seen this book.
Oh my, look at that thing.
This book, our 3,000-page Constitution, is truly the Constitution right now. This book.
Now, the reason is because it's not just the articles, right? This is what the legal actions that have been made about the articles?
Court case after court case that decides what the Constitution says, and it has wildly expanded the power of the federal government. So the federal government is involved in things that it really had no intent from our founding fathers.
They were going to do the bathroom signs, and late in Obama's term, that was a thing going where, now we're going to change bathroom signs, all that kind of stuff. It's like really getting in the weeds there. But so you're saying that those types of interpretations basically are what we're looking at in these big books.
Right. So it needs to be fixed. We all know that that our Constitution is the most brilliant governing document ever conceived on the face of this planet, and America is just such an amazing, wonderful place as a result. Our founding fathers knew that from time to time it would need to be amended. And so we have 27 amendments as a result. And so there's two ways to do it. All 27 amendments have been done through our federal government, through the Congress. But the second provision of Article 5, which is what the Convention of States project and the movement is about, is pulling out the safety valve from our Constitution to fix the Constitution, which it was intended to be used when our federal government should become out of control. Is $22 trillion in debt out of control? Is the reduction in our freedom enough out of control right now? And we're finding out, yes, because the strategy for us is to build an army of grassroots people throughout every single state in the nation, which we've done. We have groups in every state. California is a huge portion of that. Yeah. And the idea is for them to contact their representatives and help them to understand the need to save the nation and to take back what's not enumerated by the Constitution that belongs within the states.
Well, and you know, and now the current Congress would be involved, though, right? I mean, once you call that convention, they get, you know,
according to Article
they're still
5,
involved, right? In some
no,
ways?
as a matter of
They're
fact,
not?
they do have a ministerial role in there.
Okay.
But what Article 5 says is that when upon the application is the word, which means resolution or a law, the difference between a resolution and a law is that a resolution doesn't have to be signed by the governor. So when both legislative bodies, now of course Nebraska's a unicameral state, so they only have one legislative house, but all 49 other states have 2 legislative bodies. When both pass, then that application or that resolution has been made by that state. When you get to 34, as you had mentioned earlier, then the ministerial duty of the Congress is to name the place and time of the convention. They have no control.
So they get to watch while their ox is getting gored.
That's exactly right.
They get to watch. Don't worry, they'll cook something up.
Well, there's certainly, you know, when you take trillions of dollars away from people that have been in office for decades, then you bet it won't go quietly.
No,
and that's
they
why
will
it takes
not go quietly.
Such a commitment of the citizens to take it back.
So the citizens have to understand the problem, really understand it, and then they need to take action as far as letting their state legislators know that they're serious about this.
That's right. And it's amazing how powerful it is. We've seen it happen. We've passed this resolution in 15 states.
Okay, so you're at 15 now then.
That's right.
Okay.
And we have a number of states that are still working right now that are pushing, and each year we take another stab at it. We get better at it. We've been at it for just 5 years. We got 15 states, so we're just under halfway there.
You know, it makes you wonder. It's like, well, what can it hurt to try this? It's obvious that we haven't had a balanced budget since Bill Clinton, and that's been quite a while. And you know, and there's no end in sight on this. You know, there's risks. The financial market, some of the soothsayers there are saying, "Hey guys, we've got to watch this Fed and all this debt, especially the unfunded liabilities." Well, you've laid it out fairly good. Now, Fred, I wanted to talk to you about the state of California. Now we're in a situation where there's really one-party control. Even on the ballots now, it's the top 2 vote getters in the primary, even if they're in the same party. So, I mean, and I realize this really isn't a partisan issue, and of course you've made that clear. But I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think California is a tough state to get this done with?
Yes, it is, and that's why we're on the front line in California, and we're happy to be here. As I told you, we're not political; we're apolitical.
Right.
We're red, white, and blue, and that's because our message doesn't have a party on it, because we know both parties did that. So when both parties spend us into oblivion, then both parties should be able to listen to somebody that has a plan to get us out of this box. And we believe that we're the only one that has a written plan. I've been giving presentations in California since 2014. I come up to people and they say, it'll never work, it'll never work. We say, fine, here's our plan, what's yours? And our plan's pretty simple. I think a 6-year-old could understand our plan. We want to discuss 3 things in a meeting. 34 states say you're going to have a meeting. We come together and we get to discuss 3 things. Number 1, limiting the power, the scope, and the jurisdiction of the federal government. 65% of all decisions are being made in D.C. Shouldn't be that way. Should be here, 65 or more, made by we the people. So who decides? We, the family members, we, the people in Escondido, we, the people, not those ones in D.C. that have no idea the impact on our family.
Right.
Number two, fiscal responsibility. We've already talked about that. $22 trillion in debt, and there's no way out because they just keep on spending. Those rascals in Washington.
Yep.
The third thing, those rascals in Washington go there, some of them paupers, and 40 to 45 years later, they come home millionaires, trillionaires, and billionaires, and in the meantime, exempt them from all things like the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
That's for us,
Right.
but it's not for them.
Right. I
Was it
know.
meant to be that way? So it's pretty simple. I think my 6-year-old, if I had one, that she's not older than 16 now, but I would be able to tell her, and those, we just want to discuss those things. Now let's see, we get California, and California came to our first simulated convention in 2016. We had it in Williamsburg. We're going back, but we're going back as volunteers this August. We sent 3 representatives from the state of California. One was a man by the name of Brian Jones. He was an assembly member.
Yeah. Now he's in the state Senate now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the wonderful thing. See, when I started explaining in California, they say, wait a minute, I thought this was Congress. No, Congress gets to name the time and the place.
Yeah.
Our governor don't sign off on this. Our president doesn't sign off on this.
Right.
When we pass the state, it goes to Congress. They verify when we get to 34.
Yeah.
They name the time and the place, and if they don't do it, 30 days later, I think we're going to take some action. But the thing is that Brian Jones, as an assemblyman, went with 2 other people from California, stood before it, and they call them commissioners, and said, I'm here. I support bringing the power back to the California.
Right.
I support fiscal responsibility. I don't support term limits because we had at that time and still do term limits in California. It's not working. The assembly or the commissioner said, California, we hear you. We're here to solve and discuss federal problems. California, you take care of your own problems.
Right.
That's the beauty of our plan. And I would say to anybody, tell us your plan and we'll look at it. But our plan is written in
Most people don't have a plan. It's just like, okay, dinner and get to bed and work tomorrow.
People come home, especially concerned people, and they'll sit in front of the TV and they'll take off their shoe and they'll throw it at the television because all they hear about are the problems. And there's no solution.
You know what's funny? I remember as a kid at my grandma and grandpa's house. I was there a lot. And I remember, boy, my grandpa just yelling at that TV. This place is going to pot, and all this. Little did he know it did go to pot. It's legal now.
Literally.
But, it's just that we've always had that sort of, I guess a sparring session of some kind between Washington telling you how it is, how it's going to be, and the people at home. And I think, this is just a personal opinion, but I think the Trump election kind of reflected some of that, because you got to remember both parties didn't like him. Even the Republican Party was like, Donald Trump, are you sure? And I think the people came out and spoke. They can do the same with this, as far as knowing that we have a huge issue with all of these incumbents. And again, these senators and congressmen, they don't share the health plans we do. I mean, they even had a slush fund for sex offenses. They still do. I mean, that's, everyone knows that. And so it's like, why do they do all that? And then these guys that are in office over and over and over. And, like you say, they go in at, say, at $100,000 a year, they leave millionaires. That tells you something. So the bottom line here is that we can't let legislators that are career politicians bankrupt the country. Is that the basic premise, do you think? Or at least a way to frame it?
I like to bring it back home because this is a home project. It's a state project. It's on your street.
That's true.
You came to a presentation that we had at Mike's Barbecue over a year ago.
Yes, I did.
We have a lot of information to put out, and just like you said, it's an education thing.
Right.
In 2015, our congressman in this area had a town hall meeting in Vista. They expected 300 people to come.
Right.
3,000 of us showed up.
Really?
Yes, it was for something called the Affordable Care Act. And that congressman said, I've got something to tell you. 1,500 people outside, 1,500 people inside the auditorium. There's a thing coming called the Affordable Health Care Act.
Oh boy.
And questions started going up. You know what answers he had? Zip.
Yeah.
You know what answers he still have? He's no longer in office.
Yeah.
He's a millionaire, but he's no longer in office.
Well, they came within a vote of repealing that thing.
And there's actions, but both parties said we'll solve this. Have both parties solved it?
No.
It needs to come home. It needs to be a state action. It needs to be we the people saying, we decide. And that's what this is all about.
Now, the mission of this organization is more than, it's hard to say this, but more than just a convention. The convention is an important strategy for the Convention of States Project.
Right.
However, the mission is to build a self-governing grassroots army of citizen activists. And what we want to do is we want to have people that are paying attention to what's going on, that have developed relationships with their elected officials, because at the state level, that's the only place you have a chance of impressing upon the elected officials. In Washington, they're so far away, they're so far removed. You mentioned the concept of safe districts. These people are going to get reelected.
Right,
It almost
right.
doesn't matter what
Sure.
they do. There's no accountability at all.
Right.
But we can hold our elected officials accountable. And so if we take a district and just 25 people go and visit that legislator, you bet that legislator is going to pay attention, because they might get bounced out of office and they like where they're at. And so we're doing this.
So you want to
step
keep
by
them
step.
accountable.
We want to keep them accountable, Convention of States and beyond.
Okay.
And so we've built this grassroots army all across the nation. And the way we do it is people go to conventionofstates.com and they sign our petition.
Okay.
When they sign our petition, and when you fill out your address, it will automatically decode who your representatives are and send them a copy of that petition. And they get them, and we know they get them, and we get responses, and they have the ability to respond to the citizen. And so far we have about 1.25 million petitions. We have 3.91 million supporters of this Convention of States Project.
Great.
And we intend to grow to about 35 million.
California's got 90,000 plus supporters and petition signers. Our job as those of us on the ground on the front line battle,
right.
not only getting that convention, as Mike was saying, but then the next thing is when they prepare, the 26 or more states have to agree on one amendment. We want to make sure they know what we want.
So it's a tall order.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
I mean, it's to get 26 states to agree on one thing. But the important thing I think about this right now is the process itself. That people are recognizing that there's a huge problem in Washington. There's no question about it. Just do the math.
72% of Americans, according to Gallup, have a less than double-digit favorable approval rating on Congress.
Right.
And
there's a reason for that.
There is. And we've actually done polling in 11 states, and we found that 75% of Republicans, 55% of Democrats,
Right.
and 63% of
Right.
others all support a convention of states.
Now, see, what you want to do is you want to avoid getting painted into a corner, like when we're talking about an army of, and I love you guys, here's the thing. Some people, they're talking, they got to be radical. They're talking about an army of people and this and that, as opposed to saying, no, let us reason together. That's really what this is.
Sit around
It's
the
a
table. convention
of states. And then you're going to have all these congressmen, again, watching you going, what are these guys going to do? And no, we're going to do fiscal response. Just the fact that you're threatening them might actually get some action anyway, which would be great. But again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to come out here and to share with our viewers what the Convention of States is. And I keep coming back to this. Article 5. Our founding fathers wrote Article 5. And I'm told that there's no dissension on Article 5.
No, it was the only piece of the Constitution that was added in. George Mason brought it up on September 15th, 1787,
Right.
2 days before they completed the Constitution.
Okay.
And it was without any, it was a unanimous vote and without any debate.
Yeah.
The only piece that was added to the Constitution. That's how sure they were that today was going to come.
Well, and maybe this is the day that article was written for. We are in those times, perhaps. So again, I want to just thank you guys for taking the time to come on the show. And again, conventionofstates.com. It's not rocket science, just remember that, conventionofstates.com. And you can get all the information you need. And of course, there are local meetings and that sort of thing too. So thank you very much, gents, for your time. We
you
appreciate
for
it.
having
And I
us.
know we could
Appreciate
talk
the
a lot more about
opportunity.
this. But the thing is, again, make it so a 6-year-old can understand it. And if I can understand it, then it passes that test.
Friends around the table.
6-year-old right here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, we're gonna be back after a break, and we're gonna come back with Woodaman. And so we don't want you to leave too quick. We also want to let you know, ncsdlive.com, there it is on the bottom of the screen. We want you to tell a friend about ncsdlive.com, because people say, oh, how can I watch something on the internet? Go to this website. There's 2 big, huge, yellow colored, links. So if you go to ncsdlive.com immediately, just click on either Facebook or YouTube, and you'll go to either a live show like this one, or when this one is finished, it archives onto that channel. So you can watch it anytime. So we hope you tell a friend, especially if you'd like them to know more about Convention of States as well on this program. Alrighty, so let's see, what else do I have here on my notebook? Oh yeah, Cruisin' Grand, baby! Cruisin' Grand every Friday in Escondido. Love that place. We've gone out there and done some live hits, and you can see those also on the channel. And you know, these guys they love their cars. They love what they're doing. Remember, it's do what you love, love what you do. And it's just a nice, clean-cut, family-friendly place to be. And also, if you're near Juniper and Grand, you could see Woodaman. Really? Who's Woodaman? Well, you'll find out. Don't go away. By the way, let's do a clip real quick of Cruisin' Grand, and we'll be back with Woodaman. This is a 29 Model
A Roadster pickup. Pretty rare. The steel tops are common, but the Roadsters are very uncommon. They're pretty rare, yeah.
Wow, that's really awesome. I guess once you start collecting it, you get the bug.
It's just a hobby, yeah. I've always owned nurseries my whole life, and it's just a diversion.
Here's a sign here on this beautiful Chevy. Sniff, but don't scratch. Please do not touch. You know what? Joe Biden could use some of those. I mean, you know, maybe the gals would want a sticker to put on the back of their neck. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. Hey, Heartbeat Classics of North San Diego County.
No, we all have a good time, and you're looking at senior citizens in their prime. That's what it is, right?
It's great to be a senior. It's great to be alive.
And that's why we do this. We enjoy this, and it keeps us going. Absolutely. We just got back from Yuma a couple of weeks ago. We're going to Big Bear in August. We used to go to Pismo Beach. But all these cars here you see here are all drivers.
Cruisin' 7. So that's a 57 Cruisin' then, right? Okay, I got it. Hard to read those license plates sometimes. You never know. Mark's 57. Yeah, that works.
And then, I mean, you look at everybody. I mean, old, young, everybody. Everybody just kind of, it's cars. You know, I mean, you get little kids running around loving these cars. You have old people running around with these cars. And it's just a neat way to spend a Friday night.
It sure is. That keeps you out of trouble. And as you see, cruising up Grand, you see just regular cars there. I guess what happens? Do they close it off? No, they let it go, and then the classics mix in with it. Do you love it? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I do love it. Yes. A Bel Air. I'm not sure what year. Maybe what, 57, 56. All right, this gentleman helped me here. Chevrolet Corvette. Man, wow. And it's got the 56 plate too. That's the California 1956 plate right there. Like those gentlemen were telling us earlier, back in those days, you would just change your plate every year, and apparently the year was right on the plate. So you just get it in the mail and put your new one on every year. Gosh. We did this live. We had a great time, and hope you enjoyed it. And by the way, all you need to do is click if you want to watch this a little bit later. Click on it, and you'll be able to watch it. Aw, yeah, run around Sue, baby.
Quiz Show Mania is San Diego's best kept secret in live entertainment. Quiz Show Mania. Great for shopping malls, schools, company parties, special events, church groups, team building, and seminars, because it's fun for all ages. Quiz Show Mania will work with you every step of the way to customize your experience and value.
Which of Earth's 5 oceans is the smallest?
Indian?
No.
Red?
No. Arctic.
Quiz Show Mania is San Diego's best kept secret in live entertainment.
Attract more people to your business with a custom video commercial. RC Video Productions is an Escondido company specializing in marketing video for both small and large businesses. Advertising in print with local coupon books, magazines, and newspapers isn't nearly as effective as reaching customers who stare at their smartphone all day. Let us help you reach them with your own custom video commercial. Along with high-quality video, RC Video Productions employs social media marketing strategies when producing video commercials to increase visibility and interest in your business. If you own a restaurant, coffee shop, retail store, yoga studio, or offer a service such as phone or auto repair, we have a package price tailored to your business. RC Video Productions can also handle the complete campaign from strategy to production to digital distribution. Contact us now to book a meeting or schedule a shoot and receive $100 off. Put your advertising message directly in front of your potential customer with
And you're
RC
the founder
Video
of
Productions.
the scholarship fund, right?
Yep. Well, it's
Okay.
actually my son and I.
Great. Okay, we're back. So yeah, that was some kind of hot potato stuff there, Convention of States. But I'm glad that they showed up to give you really an outline, so that we all understand really basics of what it is. Well, I'm just so glad to have our guest tonight, Woody Woodaman. Woody, I've been chasing him for months, trying to get him on the show. But you know why I couldn't? Because he is, as I described, a man for all seasons and a man for all reasons. Now, why do I say that? I say that because, first of all, he's president of a medical research company. He's an entrepreneur with Bulldog & Company's Rise and Shine trading company, which we're going to talk about and look at. He's also the founder of the Betty Woodaman Memorial Scholarship Fund, and I know he works with his family as well on this. So, Woody, first of all, welcome.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And
it can't be that hard to get a hold of. I'm old. I don't move that quickly anymore.
Well, I just don't think you're old. I think you have like this eternal spirit thing going, because I notice when you interact with your customers, immediately they are charmed, sir. And they end up buying stuff from your store. No, in all honesty, though, I met Woody way back when his son's shop, the leather shop that your
Bulldog
son had,
Company.
And that's Bulldog & Company. So that's where it all started. So
Right.
let's just, as far as where I got into the timeline, but please let's hear it from your words.
Okay. My son, I have 2 sons, Ryan, older son, and Lucas. And Lucas has always been the artistic side. Our family has kind of an artistic bent. I have a degree in art. My mother had a degree in art. My sister has 3 degrees in art. And so he worked in art supplies for years and then decided he needed to create art books, drawing books that would last forever. So he made them out of American bridal leather with a special system, refillable. So we started this about 6 or 7 years ago. He opened Bulldog & Company on Grand Avenue 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten to the point where he needs more time to make product. And so sitting in the shop 30 hours a week or 40 hours a week was just kind of wasted time. So we decided to close the shop
And right on the corner of Grand and Juniper in Escondido is the Escondido Municipal Art Gallery. I had a studio in there, so we thought if we just move over a focus on the handmade American goods, we could use that studio. Then he's saving money, saving time. He can spend more time making. And we limited the hours to Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And then I run that for him. And that gives him the free time. And for me, it's wonderful. I just a chance to just talk with people about things I love, American-made products, antiques, pens, art, just a variety of things. So for me, and as I tell people, it's kind of funny that I say when it's busy and we're making money, that's good. When it's not busy, that's good too, because it gives me time to draw or do research or think about stuff or, just relax actually.
That's the thing. You engage people in a relaxed manner. And that's very special, Woody, I think. Let's take a look at that video, Rich. We want to just take a look at the Bulldog. Here it is, the Rise and Shine. Now this is just me, folks, with my little Kodak ZI-8, so it's nothing too special. But I just want you to see, this is right off Juniper and Grand.
Yeah, it's on Juniper. It's the only door on Juniper between Grand and Valley Parkway.
Okay, now there I am. See, I had to look at the steps, Woody.
You're being very careful.
I'm being very careful. I don't want to trip.
And this is part of the Escondido Municipal Art Gallery, so I have some space there in the kind of gallery area, and then the shop is to the right.
And here we are. And that's you, I believe, the back of you. No, maybe
sure.
It wasn't, but I heard your voice in there. Now here's the Betty Woodaman Memorial Art Library part of it. Let's talk about that.
Betty was my wife, and she passed away it'll be 7 years next week. And she loved art, and this is we had 100 art books when she passed away, so we created this art library, and the Municipal Art Gallery was kind enough to give us, that's her nursing graduation picture in 1970. So we took the 100 books, now we have about 800 books.
Wow.
And it's a non-traditional, you can take up to 4 books, keep them for a month, there's no check-in, no check-out. And we tell people if you have any lonely art books at home, you can bring them and donate them, and that's where we've grown.
Well, and that subject alone is worth elaborating. But as we kind of trep through the store, or in a trepid manner, I see everything has interest. This is a small shop, but look at all of this. Look at all this. And then what I did is I kind of, went for the top shelves, and as you watch here, go ahead, Woody. Tell us about it.
The fun part of it is that, like, the jewelry's made by a friend of ours, April Cromer in San Diego, and then the books are recycled books by decomposition or field notes, which are made. We make books, we make belts, these are some of the books we make that are all refillable, and belts, and then there's boots that are made by a wonderful company called Thorogood in Wisconsin that are incredibly well made and resolable, which most boots made overseas now are not. Purses made by a cousin in Arizona. And it's just fun finding these little shops. We have soaps now by this wonderful lady named Deb McGillicuddy in a little town in upstate New York, and they're goat's milk and olive oil, and it's fun finding all these little makers everywhere.
Oh gosh, you even had that candy section in there too.
Somebody showed me this great little container, and we went out and bought 20 of the old candies I remember eating as a kid.
Oh yeah. No, you know what? It's a great place, and as I wandered through there, I had that feeling of, there's no way I can really show this to people. They need to come in here.
People really seem to enjoy it. It's a kind of step back a little bit. It's kind of a combination of a den and a shop and a collecting items, but it's people love it. We get a chance to tell them about Betty and the library.
Yes.
We get to talk about the scholarship, and so it's just a very family kind of focused place, which is fun.
And Betty, she was a nurse? Is that right?
Betty was a psychiatric nurse and became later a nurse practitioner also.
I see.
We worked together. We were married for 41 years and worked together for about 30 of those. Wow. And she was just wonderful, hilarious, 5 feet tall. I'm 6'5", tough, from Indiana. just great mom. In fact, amazing nurse. We both worked a lot with schizophrenic population and a lot of psychiatric care. And we loved the population. We loved working with them. And she was just like this mom to them. She was smart. She was tough. She was incredibly caring. And that's where the scholarship kind of came up. She was given a small scholarship so she could finish her nursing school back in Indiana. She never forgot it. Oh. So when she was passing, and she knew she was passing, we talked about that, and we said, we're going to do this scholarship. So we started it, and most of the donations are by people we know in the industry, of the pharmaceutical industry, or friends or family, and people have just been incredibly generous. And we give, normally it's a $5,000 scholarship. I just gave one 3 weeks ago to a girl who's starting nursing program at Palomar College. $5,000, it's a 2-year nursing program. $5,000 covers the full 2 years.
Oh, that's
It covers tuition, it covers books, it covers fees. So to take that off of her hands so she can focus on what she's doing. And we have a contract with San Diego State. We just started our 2nd year now. A senior every year we give one to. And we're also on that one, Betty was the first college graduate in her family. So we want somebody to be a first college graduate. Yes. And the first one we gave to last year, this wonderful Chinese American woman from San Francisco, whose parents both came over and working in Chinese restaurants in San Francisco, and she's the first college graduate. So it's a delightful thing. And we've been just incredibly fortunate in this so far, and we've given out about 13 scholarships now. And they're nurses, they're people finishing social work school, 2 people that were finishing their PhD in psychology. San Diego Center for Children, where Betty and I both worked years ago. We give out scholarships there to the staff, because the original focus was people that are working in a mental health field.
Right.
At least part-time, and are going to school to increase their ability to treat that population.
Right.
That was the focus, because we both worked while we were going to school. And so we just felt it was a good way to kind of pay ahead, I guess.
You know, and Betty's legacy just lives on.
It does.
And, you know, it's just amazing. And, you know, you had, 40 years plus years with
41 years, yeah.
See, you're very blessed, Woody.
We were, and part of that is when I talked about my sons. My older son Ryan is just a great, wonderful kid, and he's married to Melissa, who's just beautiful, great mom, and I have 2 grandsons, Wyatt, who's 7, and Parker, who's 5, and we all live together. We sold them our house where they grew up.
Okay.
My son grew up,
right?
And so it's just I make a lot of grandparents jealous, because I still work at the Synergy Research, but we live together. And so it's just to be able to see my 2 grandsons every day, see my son and my daughter-in-law every day, and the dogs and the chickens and the cats, and it's I'm just incredibly blessed.
You are.
Incredibly blessed.
You are. And I dare say that, you know, you've made such a difference, and Betty and your family are making a difference. And not a lot of families can really say that, you know, and I agree that you've been very blessed, and it's just, and that's why I think when I met Woody originally, I just never forgot this guy, you know, and I would go to Cruising Grand and all that, and always go by the shop. And I remember one time going in, and the dog was actually on the counter, or in the counter, right, behind the glass.
Behind the glass. Hank the bulldog.
That was Hank the bulldog.
Hank the bulldog. And people, all these attractive women would come in, and Luke and I thought they were coming to see us, and they were actually just making sure the dog was there. Actually, it was quite demoralizing.
I'm gonna have to remember that. I need a bulldog.
Yeah.
Oh my. No, but it's, you know, that's the kind of thing that you know, and it's the foundations of goodwill, and so much that's so positive, Woody. I wish I had more time, but I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And, you know, again, folks, you've got to stop by Rise and Shine Trading Company.
Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
That's right.
From about
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
About noon, 1 o'clock to about 7.
Yeah.
And when you come in, we'll give you a card, because I do some traveling and so forth, but we also make it available. So if you're thinking about coming up, you can call, you can text me.
Oh.
and say, "Are you around this weekend?" I'll say, "Yes, no, whatever." I'll say.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not your normal, you know,
No, it
7-day
isn't.
retail store.
It is not your normal store.
But people have fun, and the kids have a great time. And the people
Yes.
the people in the neighborhoods and the people in Escondido have just been incredibly wonderful.
Yeah.
And can I add one other thing?
Sure.
The Escondido Municipal Art Gallery, which we're a part of, and I'm the
yes.
chairman of the board of,
Right.
which is an absolute diamond for that town.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few municipals that's a separate building. But just for great art, great people, shows, new shows in the art gallery, the main gallery, every second Saturday of the month. And in fact, Octobers are the Betty Jean Woodaman Memorial Art Gallery show every
Really?
month.
You know, maybe we could do one of those on our internet station.
I think it'd be
live.
great because it's a great group of people, mostly volunteers.
Maybe we should.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
They're a great group.
Well, Woody, you be our point man, and
I'll be
we'll
the
see if
point
we
man.
can come back and elaborate. Because I have a feeling that Woody Woodaman is not a one-episode guy. There's too much going on around this man. And so thanks again, Woody. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. And also to mention, BettyJeanScholarship.org. BettyJeanScholarship.org is the website to visit as Betty's legacy lives on, and as Woody explained, changing the lives for the better of many people.
Can I add one thing? Is
Sure.
that there's not a lot of information. There's some basic information.
Yes.
But in another 30 days, there'll be a full write-up of her story and where
Yeah,
she came
well,
from.
of course,
everything.
and yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And of course, we were able to elaborate some on that tonight too. So if you go there and it's, go ahead and sign up, because obviously you're going to be glad you did. So, okay, well, I think we're all set. On behalf of Rich Cruz and Woody and all the folks that joined us tonight from Convention of States, we want to thank you for watching, and be sure to tell a friend. Tell a friend on Facebook. Do something. Thanks, everybody. Good night.